Hello, I wanted to make a video talking about something that I know applies to a lot of people, but no one really talks about it. Before I start this video, I just want to say I have no idea if PlayStation has anything close to an Elite controller. Obviously I know Xbox does because I play on Xbox, and I have an Xbox Elite controller. So this video is mainly meant for the Xbox, and I'll be talking in Xbox terms because I don't know anything about PlayStation, really. So, the best controls for Elite controller. Well, what are they? Take a look at my screen here. So, forward, left, backward, right. Obviously, if you change those, I don't know what you're doing. Run is on left bumper. I think that's default. And crouch is on left trigger. Pretty sure those are default. Use item, right trigger, and then this is where, if you've seen my other videos, you may have noticed that I have my drop item, pick up item interactions, actions, and secondary action and skill check on my main buttons, which is not something that you see most of the time. The reason for this is because I have an Elite controller, obviously, and I have paddles on the back of my controller, and so that allows me to be able to hit buttons without having to take my thumb off of the right stick. So my A button for actions is on the bottom right paddle. Well, I guess it depends on how you look at the controller. If we flip it around to the back, it's the bottom left one, but if we're facing it forward, it's bottom right. You'll be hitting it with your ring finger, unless you're a sweaty claw grip. And then I don't know what you would be doing because why would you use claw grip on Dead by Daylight? You don't need that. So we're going to be talking from the front of the controller. So facing the front of it, A is on the bottom right. So you'll be hitting that with your right ring finger. Y is on top right. So you'll be hitting that with your right middle finger. X is left, top left. So you'll be using your left middle finger. And B is on bottom left, so you'll be using your left ring finger. I actually have a reason for this, so let me explain. So when I play games, I try as hard as I can to think of it, well, I like to think of it as like sectioning out my controller. So with a controller, what I like to do is I like to cut it in half. The right side is all of my interactions. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be using my right hand more, and I'm better with my right hand. I'm more coordinated with my right hand. And so it makes more sense to me. I don't know how logical this actually is, but it makes more sense to me to have the action button, which is A, and the, dead hard button, activate ability, on the right bumper, use item on right trigger. It just makes sense for me to have it on the right side, have it all on the right side, all the important things, and then the extra, optional things, I guess not super optional, but you know what I mean. You don't use them as much, or you can take more time to think about them, is on the left side, because I'm not left-hand dominant. To me, it doesn't make sense to have one really important button on the top right, and then another really important button that goes with that on the bottom left. It just feels too far. I don't know. It's a mental thing for me. But I feel like it has helped. I used to play with just random paddle settings, and it just didn't really work for me. I definitely recommend having your A button on at least one of the big paddles, the bottom ones. It's a larger surface area, and A is always a really important button. It's always the select button. It always is like jump, or, the A button is just always important, and if you ever played any game, you'll realize that. So it's always important to be able to hit that button efficiently, I guess. I believe all my other buttons are default. Yes. So for my stick, I actually have both the short sticks. I have the circle D-pad, but that's just because I don't really care. I don't care. I don't know. I like the circle D-pad more, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, especially for Dead by Daylight. It's like the only thing that the D-pad is used for is, it's for the emotes, so it doesn't really matter. I use both of the short sticks. Every once in a while I switch to the long stick on the right stick, but I don't like it, so I always end up switching back to the short one. For the left stick, it's on default. For the right stick, I actually have it set to the highest possible tension. The main reason for this is when you're looping, and you want to be able to track the killer while you're, moving in circles. You want to keep him in your view. It's good to be able to move slowly and be able to move your stick slowly without going too far or going too fast, and being more in control of it is always a good thing. Another thing that it's really good for is because this game doesn't have an ADS sensitivity for flashlights. So if you've ever, I'm sure a lot of controller people have experienced this. I know I definitely have. But you turn your sensitivity up. It doesn't even have to be that high. Even on like some of the lower settings, it's crazy because your sensitivity when you're aiming in on the flashlight doesn't change at all. So you will, go to aim at the killer, and then you'll realize you're missing, and you'll go to adjust, and your flashlight beam will go flying across the screen at like Mach 10. It's good to be able to turn slowly. I believe I do have some controller presets, and I can show you which one I use, but I don't really think it matters, especially for Dead by Daylight. Maybe it does, but I'll go ahead and show you what I use. I'm so sorry. Look, anyone who's ever tried to record on Xbox knows how horrible it is, okay? So it literally won't let me take a video or a screenshot, so I took a picture with my phone, okay? So bear with me. We're gonna get through this fast so you don't have to stare at my cracked, curved gaming monitor. All right, here's my mapping. I think everything is default except the paddles, obviously. Left stick doesn't really matter. I don't find that the left stick matters at all. I have it on aggressive just because that, right stick is where it actually counts. How you move your right stick, it's very important. I have it on smooth. I think smooth, along with the high tension on the stick, is really, really helpful, in my opinion. I don't know what the curve adjustment does. I used to know what that did, but I don't mess with it anymore. I should probably do some research on that. I recommend you do some research on that too. Triggers, I can't think of a single time that since I've gotten the Elite controller. I have the second version now. I think they came out with a few versions. I have the newest one, but they have a few versions. Back when I got the old one for the first time, I can't remember a time since I got that I didn't have these triggers set like this, other than if I was playing like a car game. But I rarely ever play car games because car games are boring. So if you're ever playing a game that isn't a car game, there's no reason not to have this. This is just so good. What this does is basically you can just barely press down on which stick is this? Is this the left one? This should be the left one. You can just barely press down and it immediately registers as a button press. Instead of if you have it all the way up, you have to press down all the way on your trigger, which is what a default regular controller does before it registers as a trigger press. Vibration, I always just never turn this on. Usually what I would do is have the vibration turned up for like story games or like single player games that aren't super competitive or rely too hard on performance. But I like to keep it on at least a little bit for those games, and then usually I'll go into the game itself and turn it off in the game settings because most games have a vibration option. Brightness, you do what you want, man. I don't care. All this does is make the brightness of your Xbox button more or less. I don't even know why. Like, why? What is it? I don't get it. Alright, that's pretty much it. The only other thing is on my trigger stops, I have them turned all the way down because I like to flashlight click efficiently, okay? And when I press the trigger sound, I like it to sound funny. I like it to sound like... And that goes along really well with what I was talking about with triggers, where you barely have to press down and it registers, but you don't even have to press down all the way anymore because you have the trigger stops on. So it's a lot more efficient. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. You can leave now. But before you go, wait. Before you go, there's something I need to ask you. How's your day been? Has it been good? That's good. I actually want to know how your day has been. So if it's been good, why don't you go ahead and like the video and subscribe? Okay, because I do genuinely care how your day is going, and I'm not just using you to try to get likes and subscribers. And if you're having a bad day, I think liking the video would probably cheer you up, because I know it would cheer me up. so it must cheer you up. Okay, bye.